We had the ladies. We had the WBC Featherweight title fight. Skye Nicolson versus Tiara Browns. Nicholson came in undefeated as the world champion, 29 years old, and she lost the belt. She was upset. What a story. Tiara Browns, over a 5-1 underdog coming in, 36 years old, a former police officer, I believe in Florida and in Washington, D.C., and comes in and pulls off the major upset in foreign soil, I should say, over there in Australia. I thought it was a boring fight, tactical fight. Nicholson moving, trying to box, be cute, and Brown bringing the pressure, moving forward. I thought the second half of the fight, Brown took over. She was more physical. She was stronger. She started to break Nicholson down. What'd you think of the decision? It was a split decision. What'd you think of the fight overall?
Brown earned it. You said it beautifully. I think they're both good people, but I felt good about Brown winning it. I just felt happy for all the reasons you just said. Big underdog, 36 years old, put a life on the line by being a police officer, looking out for others, protecting others. Nicholson, a fine woman, but she's been the champ. She had a taste of that. She'll get a chance to have another taste of it. An opportunity for it. But Brown had her moment. I think this is the way that I would break that fight down. For me, Nicholson always fought the way she looked. And this is not a knock on her. How could we be knocking her? We're taking time on our show to make sure that we talk about a woman's fight that maybe a lot of people would think it wasn't important enough to talk about. But we felt it was. For the reason you just said, for the accomplishment, the upset. All of that. And Nicholson, for me, fought the way she looked, pretty. And again, it's not being disparaging at all. I think Brown is beautiful too. But I'm just saying she had that, just like sometimes guys, you can say, that's a pretty boy. That's a pretty boy. Oscar was called that. Oh, that's a pretty boy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he was a hell of a fighter. But Nicholson fought that way, like on the outside, real cautious, good. I mean, counterpuncher. You got close, she tied you up, smart. Again, she's going to stay pretty. She's going to fight pretty. She got, look, there was the great, some of the great fighters way back in the era of the 30s and the 20s and the 40s when they had 200 fights and fought everybody in the world and they only had one champion in every division. There was certain fighters, I'm trying to remember, Harry Greb was one of the great middleweights of all time. My God, he had about 300 fights, 100 of them with one eye. Just extraordinary. Someday we'll go into these old timers a little bit more. And then you had so many. Who was the great Bonnie Ross? Not Bonnie Ross. That was another great fighter. The great Jewish champion, Benny Leonard. He never messed his hair up. Like he, I don't know if they combed it in the corner back in those. I don't think so. But I mean, like he. That was one of the things about him. He was a great boxer. And he was such a great boxer that people would say can't even muss his hair. He doesn't even get his hair mussed. He's such a great boxer. Well, Nicholson, just to prove that I'm not in any way being disparaging, but she fought that way, that she was in the way that I'm explaining, in a pretty way. And what it was going to take to beat her was a fight that became ugly. And that's what it was. A fight that became ugly, a fight that became physical, a fight that got on the inside, a fight that, just got into the trenches, and also from a technical, physical standpoint, took advantage of where she wasn't as good. She was mostly good with her legs on the outside, counterpunching, getting off, giving angles, moving, keeping space, but she was not good. She basically was confessing to that by her style, because every time you got close to her, what did she do, bud?
She held.
She tied you up.
Yeah.
And it was smart. It was smart because she's going to beat you on the outside, and then she's going to tie you up where she don't give you a chance to beat her where she's not good or as good. on the inside. So it was always going to take a fighter who could get on the inside and take advantage of where she wasn't strong and where she didn't want to really be. The pretty girl wanted to be on the outside. She's a fighter. She's got heart. Again, I'm not minimizing that. I am not in any way knocking that or daring to even suggest she didn't have heart. She had a lot of heart, and she showed it in this fight too. But her preference, because of her styles and her makeup in all ways, mentally, physically, technically, was to fight on the outside. So Brown understood that. She pressed. And like you said, the second half of the fight, she got inside and she was able to take advantage of where Nicholson is not as good and work on the inside. Make it a little ugly. And the fight was ugly. It wasn't a pretty fight. It wasn't a fight that was a greatly entertaining fight. There was a lot of punch and clutch. There was a lot of punching and then tying up on the inside. But Brown kept trying to do the work on the inside. And she did enough to make it the kind of fight she needed it to be. And yeah, it got sloppy. It got all those things. That's what I mean by ugly. Nothing else. It got all that. And that all benefited the style and the physical makeup of Brown. She made it her fight down the stretch, and she won the fight. She won the title. Congratulations.
Yeah, she won the geography battle, as you say. And you nailed this one. We saw Skye Nicolson fight in Saudi Arabia versus a friend of ours, Raven Chapman, in the first ever female fight in Saudi Arabia. And you said when she fights somebody who's more physical and steady with the aggression, she might have some problems. And that's exactly what happened this past weekend.